Hi, Kwame. We're running a little bit late, so we're gonna start closer to 6:30.
Yes.
Do you hear me?
I hear you. That's fine. You're all set on this end. So when you guys are ready to go.
All right, great. I just wanted to let you know that we will be starting. All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Wow, West.
All right, we are not muted anymore.
Okay.
Good evening. Welcome to this special meeting of the Common Council Finance Committee to do things. All right, we're going to let John tell us what this is all about. This is a ritual, an annual ritual.
It's a good way of saying it. So this is the, every year for, I don't know, the last several years, probably more than that, we've had a second finance meeting for the month of March. It happens that this meeting's falling on April 1st, but we scheduled this meeting to accommodate all the final budgetary transfers from the prior fiscal year. So we have them approved by the April Common Council meeting, because we have our fiscal report for our fiscal 2023 years due to New York State on April 30th, right? So we want to have all of our 2023 budgetary transfers approved, because that's some of the information that New York State asked for. They want our 2023 financial results, which includes not just what we actually spend, not just what we actually receive, but what our final budget numbers were. So that's what this process is all about. I can I'll walk you through each of these transfers. Frankly, this list is usually longer. A lot of the departments got a lot of their transfers done, completed on time. The reason why it takes so long is we still have a trickle of the 2023 bills that come in for, months after, the actual end of the calendar year. So, let's, do we want to go in the resolution order or the agenda order?
Well, resolution order.
Resolution order. Okay. All right, so the first, I'll go in resolution order. Resolution number 62 of 2024, which was, it's the next to last item on the agenda, 2023 year-end general fund transfer for DPW. It's a transfer totaling $5,256 for, to cover social security accounts and Department of Public Works budget. There is no financial impact of the transfer.
Did you say resolution 62?
It's resolution number 62, and it's total 5,256.
So these resolution 62 through 68
Yes.
they're on the legislation list, even though we haven't actually passed them. We just anticipated this meeting. So that's where it's coming from, or the agenda is
Discovered.
Right, but that one didn't have a dollar. 60.
It was like that.
No, 62 does not have a dollar fee.
If
As
there-
long as
it's-
the
there's-
resolution itself has it.
The resolution.
This reflects on
The
it.
resolution. It's 5.
This means nothing.
Okay.
5 million.
It's for our information to guide us, but it's not
It's not
official.
official, okay. Okay,
Okay. Any questions for John? All right, and then motion to discuss. This has to be members of the committee. by the way.
So moved.
second,
Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
we did that.
Say your voice.
The next item is the wastewater treatment plant transfer. It's resolution number 63. It's the third from the bottom. This transfer is for a total of $42,961. This is another transfer that has no financial impact.
Okay,
Any questions for John? I'll call for a motion to discuss.
motion,
Sarah Patsy, second by Steve Shabbat. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Get it on then.
Okay, the next resolution is the first item on the agenda, number 64. This is the year-end transfer to account for all the audit expenditures for the year. Came out of the capital fund. So I do have an update. The number on the original communication was 3,228,773. We've had a few more bills trickle in, it's close, it's now 3,252,796. I have updated the committee report and the attachment. I wasn't able to update the resolution, so that could be done for tomorrow.
We have to make sure Lisa knows that. Are you
Yeah.
gonna do that or you want me to do that?
I can, that's fine.
She's not on right now, that's fine.
I'll send her an email tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll copy it.
Okay.
You just want to make a note just to make sure that.
Yeah.
it's a resolution.
What resolution is this?
Number 64. Here we go.
Isn't that a real song? Resolutions.
Let's go.
All right, any questions for John on this one?
This is 60.
4.
64.
Okay, a motion to discuss
Did we already do that?
did a motion.
on this one?
Wait, which
No.
one?
This is the ARPA.
Oh, this is not the.
Request 2023 budgetary transfer totaling $3,250,796 to account for ARPA funds expended in capital fund for 2023, $0 financial impact.
Okay.
So the motion by Sarah Patsy, second. Drew? Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Next.
The next one is number 65 of 2024. It's the fire department year-end transfer. It's the middle item on the agenda. This is a transfer in a total of $13,199. No financial impact. The fire department's been doing transfers throughout the year, so they really have a lot to do at the end here. There you go.
All right. Good. So, well, the amount of description year 2023 internal transfers, close the books. This is moving $13,199 from regular pay to several other accounts, $0 financial impact. Any questions for John?
Just a question about that $1, just looks weird, but just need $1.
Yeah, he might have, I'd have to look at the history there if he was overspent by $1 or less. When I send reports out, I tell them what they're overspent, even if it's less than $1. It's like a big Excel spreadsheet, so I think just to play it safe, he sent it in for the $1.
Or it's a puckish joke, making sure we're looking, making sure we're seeing this stuff.
You will see some very small dollar amounts in some of these transfers.
All right.
So they're cleaning up the spreadsheets essentially.
Yeah, basically. Well, what I do is I run a spreadsheet. It takes me a few hours, but I export all of the accounting detail for the year into an Excel spreadsheet. Then I sort it out by department, and then I basically, so they'll see if they're over, short, and then I kind of make their lives a little easier. I email each department with that spreadsheet. So then you can just take that and sort it the way they want it to do their transfers.
Nice.
Okay. We started doing that a few years ago. It seems to help.
All right, then,
Okay.
motion to discuss. Shabbat,
Thank you.
second by Sarah Patsy. All, any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Next.
Next resolution is number 66. This is the 2023 year-end, what I call a general fund consolidated transfer. What it is primarily the city hall departments, building department. This one is total 234,096. The financial impact I listed is 42,000. But that's simply because we are taking money from the debt service reserve to pay down debt, and that's a requirement. If we've if we borrowed any excess monies, that money has to be used to pay down the debt service related to that. So we do have a debt service reserve, and we're taking money out of that reserve to pay for debt, and that's something you should expect every year. So that is,
And how is that distinguished from fund balance?
debt service reserve is part of fund balance, except for it's fund balance in a debt service fund. But it's essentially, accumulation, we borrow August of every year. In most cases, we're borrowing for what we've already spent, but when we have like large projects, that we can't float the cash flow on it, we do have to borrow in advance. So sometimes you find yourself where you borrow a little extra money on a project. In some cases, you can pay that back the next year, depending if that borrowing's already on long-term, then we have to pay it back over time. So, but, there's not a lot of that in terms of dollars, but, there is some accounting involved that we have to use it to pay down the debt, so.
All right. Any other questions? Hearing none, motion to discuss? Motion. Steve Shavit, second by Sarah Pasty. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
The next transfer is number 67, 2024. It's the sewer fund consolidated transfer. This transfer does have a fund balance, withdrawal $75,000. We did need to go to fund balance to cover this. This was in part due to a financing that we were expecting to go to refinance existing debt through VFC.
What's that?
Environmental Facilities Corp. It's an agency that allows us to basically borrow at a lower cost than when we issue our own debt. So we have a large treatment plant project where they're trying to, budget responsibly, and we expected that we're going to convert that debt over to EFC. That hasn't happened yet. So our interest and our principal interest payments were larger than we expected. So that's what that is. I would hope by next year it will be converted over, but we're somewhat at the mercy of BFC with that. But myself and John Schulteis work.
All right, questions for John? Any other questions? All right, to read the request, 2023 budgetary transfer totaling $47,906 to reconcile various sewer fund budgetary accounts for the year. The financial transfer, $75,000 to be drawn from sewer fund balance. Through the motion to discuss.
Some people actually have that.
And seconded by Drew. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation.
You're welcome. The next transfer is the big whopper of the night. It's the sewer fund.
We're gonna get
Another example of a department here, takes it very seriously here. So DPW was kind enough to close out their sewer fund overage of $102.60. Still scary, so that's what this transfer is. This is the next one. So I have to say, overall, departments are doing a very good job getting transfers in, making this year-end process a lot easier than it used to be.
At least I remember a lot longer list in the past.
Yeah, it's a combination of a few different factors, with the department, so they really are getting a lot better with submitting transfers throughout the year. It just really reduces what we have to do at the end of the year. So that's what the state would like to see anyway. They want to see these transfers in advance to the extent possible, so.
Okay.
All right.
Any questions for John? Other ones? All right, then motion to discuss. Jerry, second by Sarah Pasty. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. So we actually could have met starting at 6:50.
I'm not sure when we were scheduling this, so we wanted better safe than sorry. So if, once you adjourn, I'm just gonna shut this off and we'll be back, not shut it off, but mute it, and then we'll start clocking at 7, once you adjourn. Okay.
All right, as soon as Drew signs. There we go. All right, motion to adjourn. Michael Tierney, second by Drew, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll unmute again at 7 when we're ready for caucus. Thanks, Kwame.
You got it. Sounds good.
Sorry.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of the Democratic Caucus of the Kingston Common Council. We're getting started here at 7:02. Oh, actually, could I have one of those sheets? Is there an extra one? Thanks. Thank you, thank you. We've got a fair number of items to go through and a couple of local laws. All right, so resolution 52, recommending the approval of the 2024 transfer in the police department, in the amount of $27,918. If I remember correctly, this has a zero. Yeah, this is the grant one. So this has $0 financial impact. Are we okay with that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Resolution 53, recommending the approval of the 2024 budget transfer in the police department, in the amount of $63,855.43 from contingency to cover the retirement payout of 2 detectives. So that is, of course, the amount that it will cost us coming from contingency. But this is to fulfill our obligation to these 2 officers. We okay with that one? All right. Number 54, recommending the approval of the 2023 year-end budget transfer in the police department, in the amount of $80,900. This one also has 0 financial impact. Interim transfer, everybody okay with that?
Yes.
All right. 55, recommending the approval of the 2023 transfer in the Department of Public Works in the amount of $12,187.87. This is also 0 financial impact. Moving money inside the budget. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
All right. Resolution 56, transfer in the Department of Public Works in the amount of $900 to cover shortfalls in the longevity account. Also 0. Okay. Resolution 57.
What is the longevity account?
What is the longevity account? I don't remember.
For investments, like CSCA. Like
Oh.
for so many years you've been.
Oh, okay, thank
You
you.
could longevity check. I think it's up to 5 years. And
So it's kind of
It's
like,
steps up,
it's, yes, you investing in an employee
Oh,
to stick around and.
Retention.
Retention, yes. A good company. Yes, okay. All right, 57, recommending the approval transfer, 2024 transfer in the Parks and Recreation Department, in the amount of $50,000 for the New York State DEC Rondell Creek Public Works Kayak Project. And that is also the 0 financial impact, moving basically money from the previous budget into our current budget. This is the one where, because the bridge is now nearing completion, the Port Union Bridge, we can now actually put in the dock that we planned for a while back. So, everybody okay with that? Everybody excited about that bridge being open soon? All right, 58. Authorizing the expenditure in the first instance of the December 2022 Municipal Zero Emission Vehicle Infrastructure Grant Award to install 2 level 3 DC fast charge EV charging stations at the Visitor Center lot on Lower Broadway. Everybody okay with that? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm gonna vote yes on this, but I just want to kind of be said that I think ultimately these charging stations subsidize rich people, and we should be looking at charging electric bikes rather than vehicles, because I think those are both fire hazards when you do it at home. Promotes non-personal vehicle use, because at the end of the day, electric vehicles are still vehicles.
Yeah, I agree, and it prompted me, I wasn't meant to be interrupting, I just was waiting my turn, but this will have to come back to the fee schedule. to see what the fee would be.
Mhm.
So we should definitely take that in consideration, because that was with the light bulb in my head when Julie was explaining this.
Yes, I thought the same.
Yeah, so when that comes back, I think that should be a big part of the conversation, who is buying these and making sure that the appropriate fee is going on.
But I want
And
to,
ideally, we'd have both for cars and for bikes.
but I think that's where we should be looking is for bike charging, because I think it will come a day when one of those aftermarket things causes a fire in a residence. New York City's already looking at it. I think we should too.
I'll just note from my understanding that this is specifically for this kind of charging, so it's not like we have choice within that particular
Yes.
grant. But looking for other grants is a good idea. Thank you, Michael.
Well,
Yes.
maybe, sorry, just to piggyback on that real quickly, maybe you could reach out to Julie and ask her to, that the council really would like to look into electric bike chargers, and for her to keep an eye on any grant opportunities.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
I'm not sure who has an answer for this. Are these additional chargers? I know we have two of
Yes.
them.
Yes.
This is additional.
These are the higher levels, so they'll charge faster.
Okay.
But it will take away parking. Is that what you're thinking?
No, I'm just wondering, I think it's nice that we have more down there. I'm sure I will hear a couple comments about taking away a couple parking spots. We'll see what happens down the road. Because there are a lot of people, and I get this all the time, people who are not big fans of electric vehicles really get upset that people get this for free.
They-
Why don't I get free gas? Why don't we have a gas?
It's not
gas
free.
pump?
Even the ones down there aren't free. I think they're free for,
It was just the county that originally offered them.
Yeah.
free for a certain period of time.
But there's still a couple free ones, right, county?
I think the one in the county lot, we haven't paid for.
the city ones, the city
It's like the first
operating
hour.
ones, they are paying, and these, we would have, because they're gonna use more electricity, we would have a steeper
Yeah.
fee, I would imagine, obviously. we have to discuss that.
And there definitely is a fee, I remember Julie
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah, there will be, it's not free.
All right, I think that might be it for, we might be one more too from finance. 59 is coming from public safety. This is amending an ordinance, lowering the speed limit to 15 miles per hour on Webster Street.
By a school. You can do that by school.
Preschool.
Where's Webster, what school?
It's Hudson Valley Wraparound Services. It's a special ed preschool. It's on the south side of Barry's Avenue, the hospital campus. It's a little street.
This has been languishing for a while, so it's good to get it done.
Very good. Resolution 60 is amending an ordinance for our public streets, no parking on Carolina Avenue to the intersection of Ortiz Avenue, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m.
Yes, this is a no parking, no standing group of signs that are in between Morty's and the school, because people who were taking their kids to school and Edson School would park their cars in people's driveways and on their lawns and other things, and leave them there while they would walk their kids down to school and then come back. And the signs that were there were imperfect, because some said no standing, some said no parking anytime. So there was not a lot of consistency. So actually now what's happened is the signs are consistent, and the police have been enforcing it primarily in the afternoon, because that's when the difficulty was happening. And the residents and the parents, and so far it's been very smooth, and everybody's very happy, because traffic actually flows a lot better.
Not everybody's
Somebody is unhappy, but no one has shared that. I don't know if it's right. Even the people who the police talk to, you have to move on, man. Even those people were like, oh, okay, because I think they knew that they were doing something they weren't supposed to be doing.
But a long-standing problem, people in that area complain for many years about this.
Yeah,
And so the signs are already up now. This is really just codifying it.
being through an executive order, the signs were put up, so that, but we need the legislation, so just so you all know, that was the process, yeah, it was an executive order through the mayor's office, but it needs to be legislated. That would only last 30 days, so it's kind of like a test to see if it would work, and this is the legislation that would need to stay put.
Right. And it is working so far. So far, so good. We'll see.
Do you have a complaint jar there so that,
No complaint jar. But the neighbors are, they keep their ears open and they let me know if there are things going on there.
very good. Resolution 61, authorizing a safe system implementation plan for the common council.
I'm actually gonna take this, if you don't mind.
You're gonna what?
With Bob's permission to explain this.
Oh, yes, yes.
It's complicated.
I am, sorry, but hopefully I'm uncomplicating it because it somehow got complicated and Barbara and I discovered that this morning after Janet pointed it out to us. So the two resolutions that came, or the two committee reports that came out of public safety were not transferred to two resolutions. So this was one of the resolutions. The other committee report that came out was actually, remember, back in March's meeting, we sent back resolution 45, which was to officially endorse the mayor's executive order.
Yes.
That did not make it to a resolution here in the packet, that's not on here. So there should be two resolutions. So
Okay.
So out of the public safety committee, one committee report was the same as the one that was sent back. It was then endorsed again by the public safety committee.
Okay.
Okay, I need to correct that. You don't see that in your list, so I will deal with that tomorrow to correct that, to bring it back because it passed out of committee again. So that would still be resolution 45 of 2024, just up for another vote. Nothing changed from that. However, the public safety committee did also pass another committee report about the implementation plan for the common council. However, when I saw it for the first time this morning, I did see some issues, and then Barbara saw the same issue, and then a couple of others were pointed, or she noticed it or pointed out to her. So I think that resolution 61, as you see on the legislation list, because of the mistakes, for example, one of the bullets was to require the planning board to do something. We can't do that. We can't require the planning board, so we can't include that, but there were also, like I said, other smaller mistakes, but definitely mistakes. And because this isn't time sensitive and because there were several mistakes, I recommend that this part of the resolution this resolution is sent back to committee to refine. So that's, and Bob agrees with me.
Yes.
On both parts of that. So I think that's fairly clear, but if you have any questions, and then you all will decide what to do, but that's what we can't do what is on here.
So
We need to make some,
now that you've done all this, can I interrupt and make a mess of it again? No, I won't.
no, you can't.
The second resolution, the one that I would suggest, as well as Andrea, that we table the second piece with the implementation plan. I think we can have because there's things in there that we can't tell the planning department what to do. We can, there's things that need to be cleaned up. But we also might want to have conversations. Do we need to memorialize? I mean, it's an implementation plan. We should do it. So that can be a discussion when it's tabled about whether we recycle it as an implementation plan or whether we just agree with it as an implementation plan moving forward. So I would see that as a conversation.
At the public
Did I
safety.
get that right? How did I do it? Right? Okay.
Send it back into the table.
Right, okay, send that.
But we will be approving 45 tomorrow.
I would like to.
I'm gonna ask the clerk to have resolution 45 on the agenda because it was passed out of public safety, so it should be on here and it didn't make it on here. It's if you all want to decide how you're gonna vote, and then obviously you can't guarantee it will be approved, but that's what will be on the agenda. Resolution 45 plus resolution 61, which both Bob and I recommend sending it back.
But if I remember correctly, we didn't really discuss 45.
We did the last
We
time.
did last time.
In March, last week.
45 is a very simple one. It's 2 lines. We endorse the safe systems approach that the mayor put in his executive order. That's really all that was. And we ran into some people who were concerned about the fact that it really didn't have any teeth and was kind of an exercise in futility without an implementation plan. So we developed an implementation plan, things that we would do as a common council to support our endorsement of his executive order. And, you know, there were things like, you know, lobby for the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit,
Right.
which you can't do, you know,
I
statewide.
see.
There's 4 or 5 things that we said we would do as a common council.
What's actually, the implementation plan is the resolution that's being
That's what's
sent back.
being sent back.
So, but the general sort of blanket approval of this,
Right.
going forward with the safe system is.
Endorsing the safe systems approach goes forward.
Okay,
Okay, so looking at this, what is the resolution, when resolution 45 went back to public safety, and I apologize because obviously I was out of the country and couldn't listen to the meeting, but was there a new vote taken?
No,
Then
I was there.
yeah,
No.
it's in this packet, but looking at it, it is from February,
Right.
so we can't pass that.
So that has to go back again.
Yeah, well, it could just stay there.
It never went.
It never went out of committee. It would need a second vote to get out of committee.
Okay,
Because it was sent back to committee,
right.
it doesn't just automatically get back on council until the committee discusses, takes a vote.
and the committee did not discuss it?
We discussed it at length.
We discussed it a lot, but a vote needs to be taken. There needs to be a motion, a second. and a
So
vote.
I guess the vote to endorse the implementation plan isn't adequate to also
No.
advance endorse the mayor's executive order.
Can I just ask, how many alderpersons were present at that meeting?
The one in March?
The one, we're talking about resolution 61, right?
Yes,
So-
5. They're all 5 members.
All were present and made signatures.
It's looking. Well, there's 5 signatures, but only 4 votes.
I think that was it.
Drew didn't vote,
That was, yeah.
or didn't mark his vote.
Didn't work.
But you meant to.
I love that.
So just be careful with that in the future.
Can I see that?
His signature, sorry?
Signatures there. Anybody got to see that? Yes.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
They're signing massive.
Again, because this isn't necessarily time sensitive, I mean, it is, I know, but this particular plan is not time sensitive. I think there's too many errors for us to move forward with anything. So the resolution 45 is still sitting on the table of public safety that didn't move out. It didn't go away. It doesn't go away, not yet. It will after if it remains dormant for a while, but it's still there. But I do recommend, so on the agenda tonight or for tomorrow, I still do recommend 61 is tabled for similar reasons, just to
And clean it all
clean it
up.
up.
Do it in a package, clean it all up.
Yeah.
Which doesn't, I mean, I've been talking to the Assemblywoman and others about this already, so I don't think it's delaying anything, but it'd be nice to have it legit.
So does anybody have an issue with sending it back? All right, will you make a motion?
Sure. Can you just table?
No.
And then the part about the planning board, I mean, we do have street design standards in the new thing
But-
Yeah,
that they would have to be following.
yes, yeah. I thought you meant somewhere in there, gave us the,
Yeah.
Somebody will be ready to second that.
I can.
Second.
All right, thank you for letting me explain. Dealing with my paranoid issues.
All right, and then if I read this correctly, items resolution 62 through 68 are all the ones that we just decided at our special finance meeting just a little while ago.
Yes.
Most of those, if anybody wasn't here, most of those are zero financial impact. 1 or 2 have some financial impact, not a huge amount. And then one of them, the money is coming from a sector of fund balance. All right, so everybody okay with that? These are, like I was saying before, this is a ritual now where we go through and try to balance all the accounts in the various departments. at this time of the year for the previous year. All right, so that's why they're all 2023 transfers. All right, and then, let's see, we've got second readings of local law 3, which is amending chapter 178 buildings unsafe of the code of the city of Kingston.
This was some language changes that took, the code still had oversight by the fire department, but it's really, that's, so we struck that and added some more definitions.
Are you okay with that? And then second reading of local law 4, ending chapter 179 buildings vacant with the code of the city of Kingston. And that one, Michelle?
This added some more additions to the code of what the building department can do to secure some of these vacant buildings.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, just a little process information for those who may not realize this, but after we pass local laws, after the second reading and the passing of it, it actually goes, the mayor has to hold a public hearing before he signs it into law. It just doesn't affect any of you, but just so you know the process of that.
And we vote on this at the second reading?
Correct. Yeah, the public hearing is for his information for whether he then signs it into law. It's been confusing because most public hearings are held by the legislative body, so I'm just, since I was thinking of it, but I'd let you know.
All right, anything else you wish to bring up?
We have an extra page on the Word document.
No, I think it's just a blank.
I have just real quick points for my update for them. The parking task force, I sent emails, and an email to you a while ago. They have requested if there's anything that you want to see more ward specific as they start building the RFP, to let them know. So not, it's as specific as like, I want no parking in front of this, because that's not, a little bit broader than that, but anything if you have concerns about, just let me know that maybe by the end of this week. The Kingston Land Bank presentation is going to be April 23rd. If you wanted to listen to that, they have to give an annual presentation to us, so there's the Community Development and Housing Committee. Also during that committee, the rent guideline board applications, we're gonna be appointing somebody. It'll just be that committee making decisions, but if you want to be part of the discussion, I suggest that you come to that one. I think we have 1 or 2 members. 2 members to appoint. We have the applications, and so Bartek will send the applications to us before the meeting. But just want to give you a heads up in case you want to go if you're not on the committee. And then I asked Bob if he could give a kind of a few bullet points from the lead paint conversation that occurred at public safety. I know a lot of you were there, but figured it'd be good for the people who weren't there, but also good for public to hear a little bit. So I asked him right before this meeting, so he quickly gathered his notes. So I'll turn it to Bob, because that's all I have.
Yeah, be relatively brief. We have as you know, we asked the Ulster County Health Department to come and tell us what we should know about lead contamination in public buildings. Tim Rose and James Rod appeared. Tim Rose is he's a PE, he's in charge of environmental health, and James Rodden is a expert in lead and in lead contamination and lead health. And in fact, James Rodden is the one who did the testing that was requested at the Andy Murphy Center after someone discovered that there was lead dust there. And that's what he does. It's primarily residential, but he also does municipal buildings and other stuff. So he's an expert in lead contamination and in mitigation and other things. So they told us a primer about lead, and of course, lead is bad, and they made some recommendations to the public at large in our meeting. Like, you should get your kid tested for lead. It's the law, you should do it. People don't do it enough. That's what James Roden went on about. He's very worried about that. But that said, they took 17 samples in the Andy Murphy Center. Sent them off to their lead testing place. And 15 came back below the standard for EPA lead contamination, which is 10 parts per billion. So if they take a sample of dust, which is primarily what they're sampling, it should have less than 10 parts per billion to be considered not hazardous. Two of the test sites came back slightly higher. It was like 11 parts per billion and the other was like 14 parts per billion. And he told the staff at the Andy Murphy Center about that, and they went back and recycled and cleaned. They clean regularly to make sure that to make sure that the lead levels in the dust in the Andy Murphy Center is below the standard. And these guys said that our guys do a great job. They are cleaning it adequately. The levels that he found were adequate. The 2 sites that came back high, he retested and they were fine after that. The kitchen area that's been renovated is not an issue because there's no lead there. He talked a lot about how do you get lead dust. And lead dust comes from things like friction, like a door jamb or a window jamb, and things to look out for in lead, as far as lead is concerned, lead dust. Our staff there is certified in lead management, so that they're not taking risks by doing this cleaning. They have expertise in this. The fact that our drop-in program ended yesterday, end of March. And so, there will be fewer kids in there because that was the drop-in program for the winter. When the playgrounds are closed, kids could go there and play. And, it's over for this year. They also talked about this, talked about 2 things for lead in kids. Their home is the big, obviously. And if there's a place that they go regularly for extended periods of time, like a daycare center, and he does do testing at that. They were very forthcoming. They were, told us what things were. Obviously they can't. Their position is any lead exposure is bad. Which is a legitimate position. But our levels in the building are below the EPA level of contamination. Now, all of you who were there, did I get any of that right? Did I get it right?
I just want to clarify one
Go ahead.
thing.
Yeah.
He said that, young children are regularly tested. They have to be tested by a doctor. If there's a high lead level, they then investigate the home and a secondary site where the child is. And he said that they've never investigated any child that had spent time at the Andy Murphy Center.
Oh, really?
Right.
Yeah, so
Right.
the
No kid-
Andy Murphy Center was never flagged.
No kids, so none of the kids that have come up positive have been playing.
Is it testing for, obviously I don't have kids, so I don't know this information, but is that just automatically part of their?
Supposed to be.
Yeah, when they're younger, yeah, by law.
He did express frustration that some parents don't have it done. That's a blood test.
Oh, so parents could opt out of it, or?
They're not supposed to, but apparently they can.
Just a little bit.
Doesn't the county offer free testing?
Yeah, it's water.
I thought
Yes.
it's water testing.
Well, the water testing,
Substance.
Tim Rose it's interesting Tim Rose is a lead expert, but he's primarily a wastewater guy and water supply. So his big deal is lead service pipes, which is the whole thing that they're talking about funding. But James Rodden is a lead dust expert. I mean, he's a lead dust expert.
Did they say if they tested the water? I know a lot of this discussion has been about the dust and agents, but did they test the water?
His position, what he said about the water was the city of Kingston water supply does regular testing of our water, and he's confident.
But the lead comes from the pipes corroding the water.
I don't know if he did any testing of the water in the building. If the building has lead water service, then but I don't know if water service is there.
I mean, it's all in the building. It's probably the pipes.
Well, the city is currently doing a lead pipe inventory. So,
And, lead water service pipes who've been in place a long time oxidize, so they don't leach lead into the water. And if you read this is kind of inside baseball and boring, but if you read the stuff about Flint, Michigan, which had a significant lead water problem, it happened because they changed their water supply and did not add chemicals as recommended, which would have, which would have prevented the lead pollution in the water. Our water supply's been pretty constant for quite a while. We haven't really, thankfully, had a change.
It's true.
Can you speak briefly about the funding allocated for the lead remediation?
Well, we did mention to him that the ARA funding, we've set aside, the city set aside ARA funding to renovate Andy Murphy Center. And if you talk to Schoonmaker down at the Deep Stadium, it's his next job. So, they did the kitchen and they're going to do the remainder of the building. And it really what's driving it to some extent is when he gets freed up. So there's a plan to remediate it and to remediate another building.
And when, do they have any idea of when that would start? It's after they finish.
But that's what he said.
Deeds would wrap up.
August, that's what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, the parts they want to use.
Right, yeah, and then some kind of,
Maybe some
yeah.
other things.
And I don't know what the design of that Andy Murphy Center project is either. I mean, it will require, I don't know anything about it. It will require design, it will require, stuff like that. James was complimentary about our staff taking the building. Which is fun.
Is this going to be publicized beyond the event?
Brian? He's fervently writing, so there's hope.
Yeah, probably plan on, writing about this, and so just make sure we got the, spellings of their names and stuff right.
I can give you his card, if I get his card, give you contact with Dr.
But in sum, would we say that that these experts did not have any hesitation about saying it's okay?
The lead levels in the building are below the EPA standard.
Okay, so that's what they've said. So.
Did they say anything about the method used by the person who?
They didn't critique the other, they did describe their method, which is, extensive and a square foot, and they, measure it off, and they have quite an extensive, and they send it to a lab,
Yeah.
So I would guess the presence of lead is different than the presence of lead at a level that's harmful.
Right.
So they didn't really go into what those other tests were, or whether it was just a presence or whether it had to do with.
Right, because if it was below 10,
Low
it's
10
not
parts per
dangerous,
billion.
so if they have
EPA
somebody
says-
found 2, then they'd still be lead present
But it went-
without the complete information.
I don't know if the person that did the testing ever sent it to a lab to see the level of lead. You gather the dust, you send it to a lab, they measure how much lead is in it. And if you don't do that, then, you don't really know. And the health department did it, so they knew.
I'm really glad it was a productive
It was
session.
I thought so.
So thanks for leading that, and thanks everyone for sending in, or most of you sent in questions that we were able to, I was able to forward them, and they were prepared, so, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
happy to hear it, this was productive.
Terribly.
Yeah, the only other thing I would add tangentially is that he mentioned that there was going to be a landlord lead rental registry.
State just passed a law apparently, right? About that. And that, because they're residential primarily, he's into this, the whole, landlord lead registry. There's a state law so that if there's lead problems with a rental unit, they track it and they
And it's already, I believe, a state and federal requirement of buildings over a certain age, to sign,
A registry?
no, not a registry, but you gotta sign
Yes.
1978, the acknowledgement that lead could be present in your.
Yes, but this is a registry.
Yeah.
This would be a requirement of all of the owners of apartments, more than 2 units in the city of Kingston.
yes, that's what he was saying.
And then, and then they would have to remediate.
So if lead were,
Just be
if
ready.
lead was
Oh, it's
discovered,
going to be there.
yeah, because there, you're right.
1978.
You're right.
When they stopped using it.
78, yeah.
When did they stop using it in gasoline? You know,
If lead's in the paint, you must remediate.
Anyway, we coming up. Sure, we. Few lands.
well, there were
So about their inability to poison children.
against poisoning children. Don't get paid.
Thank you.
Are we done with that?
I mean, for the other stuff, maybe not that common, but.
It's good advice, you know.
Yeah, it is.
Anything else bubbling up in any of the commissions, committees, boards that, you know,
I can give some little reports.
little?
Yes, I know. Well, the KLDC just wanted to let you know that they, at the meeting that I attended, they are getting ready to put out a draft RFP to do a land suitability study for the Delaware Avenue Business Park. And so the idea is that will go out in April, then they'll get some responses, then, you know, the work will go on, and then by the end of the year, they should know what's possible. Like what part of the property is buildable, what can be used for residential, commercial, anything. So that's happening. As far as the planning board, it was a light meeting, but they did do a site plan review of 350 Broadway, which is in your ward. And yeah, it's a vacant building, been there since the 1990s, nobody's been in it. And it's actually been approved for a ground floor commercial space with 7 residential units in the building.
Oh,
So this was good. There are a few things the property owner has to go back to the staff to work out a few things like where garbage bins are stored, and, you know, a bunch of other things like that. But basically it's pretty exciting, right? I mean, yeah.
Good plan. So they were already going to put one affordable apartment in, and then they also applied for our affordable housing fund, and they're doing 2 additional apartments that will be kept affordable for 20 years.
So that's
for the fund.
3.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
they'll be.
that's three.
I wasn't sure if that was.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Cool.
what's the address again?
350, and then the bottom, there's gonna be 1 unit that's gonna be on the ground floor, and that will be ADA accessible too, which is also really nice. Yeah, the guy was great, you know, and he answered all the questions, and yes, there were a few little things, but other than that, they sort of gave him the go-ahead.
Is there a plan for the commercial part of
He
it?
didn't
or-
mention.
He didn't mention what would go in there, no.
Curious.
It's gonna be sort of,
Might be a
it's
project.
gonna be sort of a staging area while they do the renovations upstairs, so it'll be a while, I think.
Well, housing is more important, so I'll get
Right.
that going first, sounds good to me.
And speaking of housing, the.
We practiced that.
The Kingston Housing Task Force met, and they were to talk about the home share program that I was talking about at a previous meeting, and the survey came back, and actually over 133 responses came in. Over 100 people said that they thought this could really help. You know, because it's not the solution, but it's a solution that would allow older people and people on fixed incomes to stay in their home and then provide affordable housing for people who were the renters. And people were excited about it, so the Housing Task Force said, yes, let's go further. So the next step is creating a sort of steering committee that will sort of work with Family of Woodstock to sort of figure out how to do outreach, get input about which, you know, whether people are interested in it, answer questions that relate to things like what happens if somebody moves in and it's not working out. But they have a very tight structure so that it's a long vetting process, and if it's not working out, it doesn't work out. You know, so there are questions that need to be answered, but it was a good, productive conversation. But it is going to move forward to whatever the next steps are going to be. So you'll probably see something in the news, you know, about that. And then, they also talked about the ADU process, the next steps in that. Because, you know, what they've done now to sort of figure out if there are more properties that might want an ADU and don't know about the funding that's available is there's a parcel list of properties that show available land so they can figure out which properties could actually accept an ADU on it legally. And so there was discussion about, you know, how to go about marketing to those people that, you know, the ADU program is something that they might want to know about. So there was some discussion about that, and that discussion will continue. So, yeah, so it was a good meeting. Things are going on. And last, for all of you, the thing you've been waiting for, the site visit to the wastewater treatment plant. I actually spoke to Alan Winchell today, and he said that we are on for Wednesday, April 10th at 4:00. And I'll send out a reminder email, but he's very excited to show us the plant. So excited that even though his workday ends at 2, he is going to come back at 4. to show off his plan.
Okay.
April 10th, or what time?
April 10th, 4 p.m. So that's it.
Just in, Public Works, I talked about everything from.
That's very specific.
He's relaxed and yeah.
I'll let you all know, actually, this is Trinity Methodist Church. Is that your word or is that?
It is mine,
Yeah.
that's mine.
So the
Church.
Kit Potter put me in touch with Tom Kruger, who has recently come into possession both of the church and the old, the manse, no, the preacher's house next.
Parish house, yeah.
Parish house.
Yeah.
And is renovating it as a place for composers and musicians to come for extended stays. And so he's really excited to show people what he's doing down there. So you can get in touch with him through Kit Potter and take a tour if you're interested. So it looks like it would be really
Okay, I saw the before, letter, sent a letter, didn't touch them, but I don't know yet. Interesting sidelight, the original pipe organ is still in that church. It's huge.
Oh.
It's like 50 feet, the pipes are like 50 feet tall. Yeah, it's incredible. And I think all stained glass windows are still intact in there.
Most of them are. There's a hole in one, and I think one or two are missing. Yeah, it's quite impressive. So that'll be great when he's finished with all that. Anything else? Any other reports? All right, go ahead, Karen.
I did have a little visit with Midtown Business Alliance, and I had sent them previously the information about Midtown Thriving, which is this sort of initiative to identify any vacant spots and any vacant and abandoned properties within this area along Broadway, so that it can be designated as a brownfield opportunity zone, which carries with it. BOA is Brownfield Opportunity Area, which carries with it all kinds of benefits and, funding and all of this. So they said they were definitely interested in that and they will be attending those meetings. They are, in case anybody is interested, they are looking for an SEO person. They will be issuing an RFP for a SEO, which is search engine optimization, for their businesses, because they represent about 50 of them, so they'd like to be able to organize them in such a way that they would come up on top and do the search. And they also questioned whether or not there could be a link between the city's website and their own. I'm not sure if it can go on the city's website, but could it go on the city's website, but they're looking for some sort of a linkage.
Okay,
This is the Midtown
they wanted someplace on the website to just
link to them.
The driving
No,
and
no.
steering?
No, not driving, this is the organization, yeah. This is.
because they're not technically part of the city,
We don't
so we wouldn't be able to.
I
Okay,
know in New York City, sometimes they'll have links to
Right.
different associations and say you are now being taken away
yes,
from.
exactly.
I don't
I
think.
don't know about our technology.
We actually do list places to stay, including like hotel rooms and bed and breakfasts.
We do?
Yes, we do.
Really?
Site now. It's
City
powered by
Kingston?
Dribble.
Under.
As well as art galleries and venues. I mean, I think it actually would be more beneficial to link the Cuba, the Midtown Business District, as well as the Roundout, rather than individual businesses. But yeah, there,
Okay.
we do list, we don't list businesses unless you count a hotel as a business.
It's under the tourism. Okay, so-
Yeah, under tourism.
So I should talk to Kyle about it?
Yeah, that is who you would talk to.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually had a constituent call me today and she complimented us on our website.
Was her first time?
She said, and the city website, and I'm just waiting, and she's like, it was great, it was so helpful, I'm like, oh, well, I'm so glad to hear that. Because that is the first time in 6+ years I've heard that. So one person likes our website.
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't think so.
And then lastly, they have a very real concern about establishing a shuttle bus over the summertime. What they would like to do is, because remember a few years ago, we had the shuttle bus and went from the round out, Broadway and everything, yeah. And so they're saying that they're getting some resistance to it and they don't understand why. And so they're still trying to lobby, the transportation company.
That's county. Yes, that's the county.
The county, yes.
The county is undergoing a route optimization study right now, so they're pretty unwilling to change any route lines at the moment until the results of that study are finalized.
Is it gonna be in time to help them this summer?
What was it?
Is it gonna be in time to help them this summer?
But we had that, we did have that shuttle, I think it only lasted 1 year, it was
Like during the
early
summer?
on, I think
Weekend?
2018,
Was that
2019.
still city hospital?
It
That
was,
was
I
in
think
the
it was like a
city.
pilot, and it didn't go, people weren't using it, but it was also, there was a challenge with it, like, it would say it would arrive at a time and it didn't, so then of course you're not gonna use it the next time,
Right.
because if you're unhappy with it, the service. So it didn't go well when we tried it, I think it was 2018, does that sound about right? It was one of my early years.
Was it a trolley thing?
It looked like a trolley, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which they bring in for events and stuff, like the Hooli uses the trolley, as does.
But I think the county is the one that, even the trolley does, or the county even operates the trolley too. We don't have, and we're out of the bus business.
Yes, but it did operate, the trolley.
I think it was one summer as a kind of a pilot program and it didn't go swimmingly.
And so you're saying that the county is doing what?
The
study?
county, it's a route optimization study countywide to determine how effective the existing bus routes are, what can be improved, all this stuff about, right now it takes, about an hour to go to the mall.
And there's no buses in Boulder.
And there's no buses in Woolworth.
I would love to see that trolley.
Yeah.
Maybe we should bring back the streetcar, which is what we had
Sure.
And the tracks.
before Ford came along.
The tracks are still there, Horse Bowl, or are you talking about?
It was a trolley ran from the top of North Front Street all the way down Broadway to the bottom.
So you want complete streets? You want?
I want an end to personal vehicles.
Right, and then you want to be able to charge your e-bike.
I still have an old fashioned pedal bike. I'm not at the e-bike level yet, but I do think we need to update our code regarding the kind of batteries you can charge.
Yeah. Be much safer. That's it. Okay.
All right, anything else? Dee?
The Climate Smart is going to have the Earth Day in May. I hope we see everybody there. CBG is, I think the mayor did, he agreed with all our recommendations, so we're just waiting for the final okay so far, I guess in writing, that he puts it.
Right.
So everyone that we suggested to get the money, so far, the mayor has agreed to it. So that was doing good. So that's it.
Fire department commission hasn't met, and the water board is, at some point, there'll be, upgrades to bin water. Reservoir, it doesn't have, we don't have a lot of information about that yet, it's down the road, and they're buying a new one.
Thank you.
That's like to be riding, push, electric.
Really?
Yeah, because the inclines for the dams now are really steep, so it's much safer to have remote control.
I didn't even know they made them.
Yeah.
I went down the coast.
Those are great.
Except for you have to clean up after under the water supply.
Oh, good.
They don't eat grass the way sheep did. They don't get like brambles.
All right, now that we got that settled, anything else? No, Barbara.
I'm just gonna be presenting John Toohey and say that I think that we got our first check of MRTA tax.
Oh.
In the amount of $4,189.11.
Oh.
That for like a quarter or just since it's been?
But we don't have any dispensaries.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so-
this is our portion.
So that would be from the Keegan sales?
So since I'm only pretending to be John.
Oh.
Yeah, we have an image of the check, and so that's the amount. We don't have a dispensary yet, so I'm assuming.
We have the.
I think that was the.
Yeah.
Mexican ales.
Yeah,
That's the.
we were there opening day. Okay.
All right, then. Speak now.
See you all tomorrow.
All right, we'll call this meeting adjourned at 7:54 p.m.
Thanks, Tommy. Bye.
Good night.